Ottish.com. Learn anywhere, anytime.
Okay, welcome to you all in this video conference. In this class, I share my ideas on different types of language functions included in the textbooks of basic as well as secondary level English, and techniques, activities and resources for teaching language functions to the students. You know well, language functions refer to the purposes of language use. I mean, by function we means the very purpose of using a particular bit of language. Language functions are always expressive. They are performatives. They perform certain functions. I mean, language functions communicate someone to do something or communicate someone about something happened. These language functions, they are always performatives in the sense that they perform certain behavior. They perform certain tasks. They perform certain regulations. That's why we need to follow functional approach, communicative approach and task oriented, I mean task based approach to teach language functions. Basically, we find two broad categories of language functions, you know, grammatical functions and communicative functions. Grammatical functions refer to the representation of particular grammatical role of the words or expressions. For example, subject represents agents or doers. Object represents recipients or affected ones. Predicate represents the action of agent. Complement completes the actions of the predicate, or it completes the actions of the subject if it is subject complement, and the object if it is object complement. And the adverbial means an element of language that expresses time, manner, place, frequency, etc. And the communicative functions are everyday language functions. For example, socialization, making query, getting things done, expressing moral and intellectual attitudes, like this. So our focus is on communicative functions, not the grammatical functions over here, because your syllabus requires you to develop competency over different language functions, form-function relationship, and strategies to teach language functions to the students. In the earlier video, you got some preliminary ideas on what are language functions, what are the elements of language functions, what are the aspects of language functions, what are the types of language functions according to Roman Jakobson and 𝐄𝐥𝐸𝐷. They are the functional linguist as well as sociolinguist. And the socialization functions of language. Okay, right now I discuss you the rest of the functions at first, then form-function relationship, and next the strategies or the techniques for teaching language functions. Okay, right? So they are the types of, there is different, you know, different taxonomy of language functions. I mean different scholars or different functional linguists, communicative grammarians, they have classified language functions into different types. However, we follow the functions, we follow the classification of functions included in our curriculum. I mean in the curriculum of basic as well as secondary level English. Okay, accordingly, socialization function. Socialization, it is using language for establishing good social relationship. Using language to establish rapport in the society. Using language to lubricate the wheels of social interaction. Using language is a way of being familiar with others, is a way of maintaining courtesy with others, or is a way of getting other sentiment. That is called socialization. I discussed all the examples, all other functions that come under socialization functions in the earlier video. Okay, and here now I focus from the second one, that is what? Making a query. Making a query. Q-E-R-Y. Yes, making a query is another broad function of language that has been integrated in our syllabuses, in our textbooks, or in our curriculum. Look at, making a query means asking someone to do something. We use language in order to ask people, in order to ask different persons, you know, to perform many different jobs, many different tasks, many different activities, and it is expressed especially by using imperative form of language, you know. Interrogative form of language. Interrogative is used for questioning, and most of the language functions that come under making a query are related to questioning on different interest, different intents, different things, etc. And there come many different, you know, there come many different functions under making a query. For example, checking. Are you getting me? Do you understand what I tell you? Did you get my idea? Have you well understood? These are the examples of checking. So we check whether someone has understood or not, whether someone has got something or not, whether someone is doing well or not, and that checking is an example of making a query. Similarly, checking with the choice. Checking with a choice. For example, I think you are getting me well, aren't you? Are you getting me well, or still you have a sort of confusion? Checking with the choice. I mean, in responding to my query, you can say, yes sir, we are getting well, or we have little bit confusion what you have recently said. That is your response. So yeah, checking with the choice is another example of language function that come under making a query, where a speaker asks someone to check with option, with a choice, with an alternative. Likewise, next one is seeking information, you know, seeking information. For example, where is the capital of Nepal? Where do you find wild animals? In national park. What is his profession, do you know? These are some examples of checking information, and checking information is another example of making a query. Likewise, seeking confirmation, you know, seeking confirmation. Especially we use tag questions. We use tag questions for seeking confirmation, isn't it? Didn't he? Wasn't there? Won't you follow? They are for seeking a confirmations. Ram is a teacher, isn't it? They are quarreling to each other, aren't they? Like this. Similarly, another one is seeking permission, you know. Seeking permission. Yes, seeking means taking permission. Usually, your students, they say, may I come in, sir? Can I ask a question, sir? If you don't mind, I would ask you a question. They are what? They are the examples of seeking permission. So, another example of language function that comes under making a query is seeking permission, seeking confirmation, seeking information, checking with the choice. Then another one is, you know, seeking favors. 𝐿𝐸𝐾𝐼NG, seeking FAVORS. Is it okay to you? Is it alright? I think you feel happy to listen from me. Is it pleasant to you to listen my, my lecture, my discussion? That is seeking favors. It means you ask someone whether he or she favors the things you have expressed or not. And it is another example of language function that comes under making query.